Yeah, I've got them.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and get started. It is Friday morning. I don't want to keep you all from your weekend or your lunch, whatever's going to come first. So we want to welcome you to the brand new Educator Preparation Advisory Committee. There are no words to describe not only how excited that we are that this has come to fruition, but to actually get to work with you all. Thank you not only for agreeing to participate in this very important committee, but also we want to take a moment to just thank you for what you do in your respective roles in the educational community. We know that you all are working tirelessly to make great things happen in your respective roles, and that is not lost on us. It is why you are here. It is why this committee has great things coming. To get this started, what we're going to do is staff is going to take a moment to introduce ourselves. Then we have a special guest with us. Later, we're going to let you all get to know each other a little bit better, but we've kind of framed this to where we really want to get into the meat of the what and the why of Epact before we allow you to get to know your new family members. So my name is Christy Poe. I am the Epact Policy, the Director of Epact Policy and Support. My work centers around the Epact policy rulemaking, legislative implementation. I'm also over the continuing professional education as well as the Epact liaison. So with that, I'm going to punt it to my current boss and my colleague, Marilyn Cook.
Thank you so much, Christy. Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here with you this morning. As Christy said, my name is Marilyn Cook. I am the Director of Educator Certification. I've had the good fortune of having close to now 29 years of state service with the agency. Love working for TEA. And as Christy mentioned, I am currently in an interim role serving as the Interim Associate Commissioner for Educator Preparation, Certification, and Enforcement, and delighted to be with you this morning. With that said, I'd like to now hand it over to my wonderful colleague, Ms. Jessica Mclaughlin.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Marilyn. I didn't know if I was going to be up next on the docket. My name is Jessica Mclaughlin. I'm our Director of Educator Standards, Testing, and Preparation. So in my role, I oversee the development of educator standards that guide educator preparation, the development of and implementation of our certification exams for educator licensure, and oversee educator preparation program management across the state. With that, I will turn it over to my colleague, Mark Olofsson.
Thanks, Jessica. Hey, everybody, I'm Mark. I'm the Director of Educator Data Research and Strategy here at the agency. In that role, I get to support and oversee the collection, analysis, and reporting of the data related to educator preparation and other data elements to support the work of the Epact. So we really enjoy, being able to put out data sets and reports and dashboards and the like. Also get to support the educator preparation program accountability system, help do the rules and the calculations related to all of that. Excited to be on the call today. With that, I think everybody's saying with that, I'll hand it over to. So I thought I'd just do that as well. With that, I'll hand it back to Christy.
Well, that is going to be our theme for the day, is with that. So I don't know if this is going to be one of those, can't call it a drinking game though, can we? Bingo card. There's some things that we can call it. So we really just wanted to kind of lay out what our streams of work are. So as we're looking later on, we start kind of getting into the topics. It'll start kind of putting some pieces together of who you will see as we embark on some of those topic areas. So before we really get into the great, exciting work, wanted to go ahead and hand it over to our fabulous, oh so perfect Dr. Cavazos, and I'm not saying that just because he's our Epact chair, it's because we really believe that. Dr. Cavazos wanted to join us today, and so I'm not gonna do a sneak peek. I'm gonna shut up and I'm gonna hand it over. With that, I'm gonna hand it over to Dr. Cavazos.
Well, good morning, everyone. And Christy and staff, you all did an excellent job introducing yourselves. And I'm not going to say with that. And so I'm going to move on. Just want to take a couple of minutes just to share a little bit about the importance of the work that you all will be taking on. I currently serve as Superintendent Emeritus for Harlingen CISD. I have announced my intent to retire on June 30th. I also serve as the Epacs Chair. I am on my 6th year on the committee, and it has been an incredible opportunity to really understand and work and making a difference and putting the very best educator in front of every student throughout our great state. The Epac is the only one and only advisory committee for us. And so this year, I was very proud of the board and the staff. We expanded the membership and made certain that we were more inclusive of the different organizations and so forth. And so that's really exciting to me because I believe that we can come up with a lot of answers to the challenges ahead of us working together. The advisory committee is very important to us. And if it matters to Epac, it should matter to you all. And if it matters to you all, it should matter to us. I think that moving forward, I look forward to the collaboration, the communication, the thinking critically, being creative, but more importantly, being committed to the work that you will be embarking on. I cannot say enough about the team that you will be working with. These individuals live and breathe the work that they do. They are champions for the work that needs to happen. They understand their role, and we certainly understand ours. And I encourage you as an advisory committee to also be ready to roll up your sleeves and be part of moving us forward and being part of the solution. Again, welcome each and every one of you. I am super excited that we have added additional members to the advisory committee. Hold on to your hat. It's going to be a ride. It's going to be a great journey. Thank you for serving. We really appreciate that. Everyone is very busy. Everyone has a full load of things that they do. But there's also value in serving in these kind of capacities so that we can be part of the solutions in moving forward. I thank you again. I'll leave you with the staff. God bless each of you, and God bless our great state of Texas. Have a great one.
Thank you, Dr. Cavazos. Now, I don't know how I'm going to follow that because it's like following Marilyn Cook, following Dr. Cavazos. Neither one is a good follow, but I really admire Dr. Cavazos for a million reasons, but this was his idea. He really wanted to come on today to express his gratitude. And I hope this really validates that the work that we're going to be embarking on is extremely important and valuable to the Epac. So thank you once again, Dr. Cavazos. So with that, before we begin, we wanted to kind of lay out, here is what success looks like for us today. We're going to define what is Epac, what is the purpose, how does it function. We're going to get acquainted with our new family. We are going to build shared understandings of roles and responsibilities. Then we're going to take a look at the Epac meeting schedules for the rest of 2021 and then walking in early to 2022. So just a couple of housekeeping things. I know that you all have seen this as we've been, living in a virtual world. But this meeting is being recorded. Every Epac meeting is recorded, also uploaded on the Epac webpage. We will share out that link later. We're all about, full transparency. And we also realize that some of you may not always be able to attend, either all of it or part of it. So we want to make sure that you never feel like you're missing anything. Just for logistics, just to please, mute your microphone and leave your camera on if possible. So now let's get into defining the purpose and the function of Epac. So we wanted to kind of start from the beginning. I know this may be old news to some of you all, but in order to ensure that we're all starting at the same place, we really wanted to be able to show, walk through what is Epac. Epac, as Dr. Cavazos has stated, is the only standing advisory committee to the board. The Epac serves at the will of the SBEC to provide input and reflection on policy. And as Dr. Cavazos mentioned, the composition of the Epac has recently been updated, and we're going to dig a little bit deeper into that in just a few minutes to kind of let you see the why and the how and how that all kind of fits together. So let's look at the purpose and the function. What I'm going to do at this point, I'm going to pause and let you all take a moment to read what is actually codified in the SBEC's board operating policy and procedures. And then in the chat, if you will please just write out any kind of thoughts, things that maybe had, stands out to you, maybe is striking to you. So I'm going to put myself on mute and let you all kind of take a moment to reflect on what the board has codified of your purpose and function. Again, as you're moving through this, if you can put some things in the chat that may be either a surprise to you or something that stands out to you, maybe something that you may have a question about. But at the end of the day, that the whole purpose of this committee is to advise the SBEC and TEA staff on everything that is related to educator preparation. So the SBEC was actually created to oversee the profession of certification, preparation, continuing education, and enforcement. And the whole purpose of that is to ensure that every single candidate for certification is day one ready to improve student performance in the state of Texas. So everything that is under the oversight of SBEC is actually important to you as well. And as Dr. Cavazos said, if it matters to SBEC, it matters to you. And just to kind of give you that broad picture of anything related from the pipeline of educator certification, those are under the SBEC's oversight. Those are some of those topics, and we'll dig a little bit deeper of exactly what that could look like as it's rolled out. A lot of great chats, comments in the chat. I'm trying to. I know staff is going to be looking at some of those chats, so I'm looking to see if there's any specific questions. Jessica, did you want to say something?
Chris, I was just going to call out, I think some trends that we're seeing in the chat is folks are really excited specifically around the naming of improving student outcomes for all students. Some folks are really excited around specificity for diverse student populations. Folks are naming that they're really excited about the diverse group of folks who are in the space today representing various roles. Are a few of the trends that I'm seeing as I look through the chat. So definitely seems like there's some strong alignment.
That is really important, right? So when the legislature said we're going to form this board, and the purpose of this board is to allow educators to govern their own profession, and in governing their profession, here are all of those oversight pillars. And so having you all be able to articulate some of those things that are standing out to you. I think it's really important that you get, what SBEC is doing, where the function is, where our focus is. So with that, Here are a few examples of what that input could represent regarding not only SBEC rules, but also as a sounding board for best practices and implementation timelines. And we're going to look at these a little closer and what this could look like later on, and kind of walking through what a policy discussion, decision, implementation looks like. But just to give you just a little sneak peek, there are rules regarding curriculum, coursework, training that educators should receive prior to certification, rules regarding mentors, cooperating teachers, internships, practicums, clinical experiences, also those that impact certification procedures and requirements for Texas educators, rules that impact staffing decisions, enforcement actions, but also, as you mentioned earlier, it's not just about the rules, right? It's also about tapping the best practices. So even as we are preparing discussion items and we are embarking in just a discussion of what is something that, an issue that we may decide that we want to look into. It's, you all are the experts that can let us know what are the best practices, not only in preparing educators, but also in implementation timelines, right? And again, Jessica's going to be able to walk through a case point on this. So you can see what this looks like. I'm a very visual learner. So once I can see what it looks like from start to finish, then, my hope is for you all to be able to see, where this could impact you, how you can impact the rules and how it all comes together. So to align with the span of input opportunities, the SBEC recently updated the Epacs Composition to ensure that vital input that just mentioned in the previous slide includes all the necessary voices in that educational community, right? The updated structure consists of 21 members from organizations and 10 at-large members. 5 of those are directly from EPPs, 3 are classroom teachers. But looking at the left, when we see the rich experience, expertise, viewpoints, impacts of Epac, we've got our ed prep, leadership. We've got other ed prep program faculty and staff that are actually, the boots on the ground and implementing these rules. We have school district representation, teachers, non-teachers, members of the public. So, whenever we first looked at updating the composition of Epac, we wanted it to not only reflect those areas that was mentioned at the last slide, but also it represents the SBEC, right? If the SBEC board is a wide variety of stakeholders in the educational community around everything dealing with certification of Texas educators, then trying to reflect, making sure that input and the bodies are also represented of that educational community. So this is where we are right now, and here's some examples of what SBEC's recent actions. That way, for you to kind of see what are some of the things that this committee could actually provide input on. So recently, SBEC has updated their ed prep requirements. There's been updates to program accountability, certification sanctions, exams, educator standards, and updates to educator assignment requirements. And so wanted to kind of let you see that the who is also, where the input reflects the who. So what I'm going to go on, let me pause there for a second, because even though I haven't sound like I've taken a breath, I wanted to make sure if there's any burning questions that you all may have regarding, Epac's purpose, functions, what are some of those topics that you all may see, who are your new family members. So I'm going to pause for a second and see if there's any questions. Okay, I wasn't an educator, so I don't know how to do that whole classroom pause for a second. So you all know how to kind of interrupt me, because this is a collaborative work and my colleagues the best know how to interrupt me. So if there's anything that you all want to stop on, just let me know. So with this, at this point, like I promised, I'm going to hand it over to Jessica. I want her to be able to walk through a case study, a recent case, not even a study, example of not only where Epact was instrumental in helping provide input and feedback to the staff and to the board, but also maybe where there were some other opportunities that we will now have as we walk through other topics that come up. Jessica?
Thanks, Christy. So as Christy shared, these updates on the slide are all updates that the Epact in its previous forum had an opportunity to give input and insight around that informed the ultimate rulemaking. One big piece of rulemaking that the board has recently engaged in, that the Epact was really instrumental in providing an advisory role to the SBEC, was around the implementation of the House Bill 3 Science of Teaching Reading exam requirement. My presumption is that everyone on this call has heard of the House Bill 3 Science of Teaching Reading exam requirement. It was a big communication push over the course of this past year, and I think really represents sort of a pretty significant shift in our preparation and certification of educators and training them in the critical role of early literacy. In terms of the Epac's role in implementing this House Bill 3 Science of Teaching Reading requirement, I would first note, first and foremost, that because this was a statutory requirement, so this was established coming out of the 86th legislature, there was very clear requirements in the statute around what the SBEC was intended to implement. So the statute itself specified what specific certification fields needed to have the Science of Teaching Reading exam requirement. The statute specified when the exam would need to launch, but there were decision points that the SBEC needed to make as they ultimately implemented the statutory requirement in rule, and that's where the Epact was able to provide some really strong feedback and guidance. So specifically in their advisory role at the SBEC, the Epact was able to give feedback around specifically which certification fields would be tied to the Science of Teaching Reading exam requirement. So for example, the decision around making that requirement for the English Language Arts 4 through 8 and English Language Arts and Social Studies 4 through 8 certification fields. And then the Epact also provided some great guidance around the potential opportunity to replace the certification names for those fields impacted by the Science of Teaching Reading requirement, to really recognize the STR aligned knowledge and skills that those educators who took the exam would now have. So they gave some strong feedback that then ultimately informed action taken by the SBEC. In addition, as Christy shared, the Epact, you all are the experts in your fields. And so we as TEA staff also rely on your expertise and guidance when we think about not only informing the rules that the SBEC ultimately implements, but also how we carry out the SBEC's charge moving forward. And so the Epact was incredibly instrumental in thinking about the supports provided to the field as we inched closer and closer by the day to the launch of the Science of Teaching Reading exam. So the Epact provided guidance and insight into the impact of the mandated timelines on educator preparation program processes. So we heard from preparation programs, traditionally our traditional IHEs, who said, this exam is going to launch on January 1st, and we have candidates who are graduating from college at the end of the fall semester. And this means our registrars are going to need to work over the holiday break to make sure that candidates are issued a certificate before the STR exam requirement. That was something that transparently had not been on TEA staff's radar. And once it was, we were able to work in coordination to develop some really clear guidance and communication tools. That was something that the Epact raised, and then we were able to take action collectively. We also heard a lot of feedback from the Epac on communication processes and materials. So Epac members saying, we need to ensure that we're sharing a normed message out to all preparation programs, a normed message out to all teacher candidates who are impacted or may not be impacted by this requirement, because this is such a big deal. And so that really prompted TEA staff and members of the Epac in coordination to develop some normed communication tools, including frequently asked questions documents, one-pagers that we distributed to all preparation programs, and actually instigated the development of a standalone website for just the science teaching reading exam requirement. We also had an opportunity to facilitate a number of science and teaching reading aligned trainings, which members of the Epac attended and were able to give us some really instrumental feedback on. And then probably most critically, the Epac, as representatives of folks out in the field, were able to surface questions and areas of concerns as they arose, which then informed just-in-time communication that we were able to share back out with programs, back out with candidates, and back out with LEAs as well. As we stepped back, so essentially the Epac was instrumental in ensuring that we had a smooth transition, or as smooth a transition as possible, into the launch of the Science of Teaching Reading exam. As we stepped back and reflected collectively, though, we recognized that there were some additional perspectives that would have also been incredibly instrumental or beneficial as we planned for the rollout and launch of the STR exam. So we recognize that our LEAs, our district partners, and educator perspectives would have been incredibly beneficial as we planned for both the advisory role to the SBEC and for the communication and resources that went out into the field. So thinking about the role that our district partners and educators could have played up front with providing guidance and considerations around hiring processes or staffing considerations, connections to the reading academies, feedback on communication processes and materials that we were developing and producing with an LEA or candidate focus, and then surfacing any questions or concerns that may have come from those respective stakeholder communities as well. And so that's where we're incredibly excited with the makeup of the Epac, recognizing as we implement policy moving forward that we now have the benefit and the privilege of hearing from this wide perspective of stakeholders to help inform both, serve in both the advisory role to the SBEC, and then also selfishly to serve in that advisory role to TEA staff as well in service of our Texas candidates and students.
Thank you so much, Jessica. I knew that no one could tell that story of exactly the entire rollout, that golden gift that Jessica was handed when she accepted this position. She's like, yeah, no one told me that, but she really did turn that mess into a message and really connected well with Epac. Epac was extremely instrumental in ensuring the success of that rollout. So thanks for doing that, Jess. Like I said, no one could have told that story as well as you. So now this is good, would be where we get to meet the family. What we wanted to do first, I know a lot of times whenever we're doing presentations and work sessions, it's really about doing introductions first and then getting into the meat. But we really thought it was important to first lay the foundation and circle back on what exactly is an Epac, why does it exist, what are some of the topics, why this composition. And so now it's going to be y'all's turn. We're going to call on your name, and what we would like you to do is not only provide who you are, But if you represent a particular organization, an ed prep program, or your respective role. And then the other thing that we want you to share is what unique perspective do you bring to this work? And I think now, because we were able to kind of lay out, here are some of the topics, here are some of the issues, here are some of the rules that you all will be engaging in with us, with your new family for the next 2 to 3 years. What unique perspective do you bring to this work? So I'm going to see if I can go ahead and show participants here, and then we're going to call on names. And if my technology doesn't work, then I know that my colleagues will jump in and, you know, save me once again. So with that, let me see.
Christy, I'm happy to call out names if that would be helpful.
That would be very helpful.
Absolutely. So I think if we just want to go down the horn, I see Susan Sharp is the first one on my list.
Okay, I think I'm unmuted. I got cut off just a while ago, so hopefully everything will be okay. I am Susan Sharp. I'm president-elect of TACO and the teacher certification officer and testing coordinator for Howard Payne University. I think my unique perspective is, as a retired educator and administrator, the ability to think about the needs of the LEAs. I also have a husband and 2 children who are currently in education that they share with me their everyday needs and perspectives. So I'm kind of in the trenches with everything.
Thanks, Susan. Next up, Tim Sutton.
Good morning, everyone. My name's Tim Sutton, and I'm serving in kind of a dual role, one as the president of TDFE and also as the executive director for CISO. And I think the unique perspective I bring to the group is kind of having my hands in all the different aspects of educator preparation, from still working with schools here in Denton, Texas, and then also with the field directors with TDFE. And then, of course, I get to hear from everyone on the board, especially at CISO. So I'm excited to be part of this group, and thank you for including me in it.
Thanks, Tim. And next up is Gina Anderson.
Hello, everyone. I'm so glad to be here this morning and to work with you and get to know you all better. An interesting fact about my name that's hard to remember, but it is pronounced Gina with the hard G. It's a Scandinavian pronunciation. And I am at Texas Women's University as the Associate Dean for Educator Preparation and Partnerships. I am also representing the Associate Dean, the Associate Deans, Assistant Deans and Directors of Texas Colleges of Education, ADOT, as the President-elect. And I guess probably one of the unique perspectives that I hope to bring to this group is that as a former practicing educator for 10 years and all of my roles within higher ed and in teacher ed, I've touched just about every single aspect of teacher and educator preparation. So I'm very pleased to be here, and it's an honor to work with you all. So thank you.
Thank you, Gina.
If I could jump in really quickly, Jessica, sorry.
Sure.
I should have thought about this earlier. A couple of people have asked, as they should have. I don't know what you're saying. You guys are talking in letters, acronyms, and numbers. And I know, and we should know this at TEA, because we name our chapters, you know, rule chapters as if they're our children, and we expect everyone to know what our acronyms and numbers are. So if you all could please, for our non-organization, members, is to please just kind of, explain what what each of the organizations rather than the acronyms. And one of the things I will do is ensure when we're done with this is send out a laundry list of what all the organizations actually stand for and maybe a little bit about them. So I'll go ahead and hand it back to you, Jess. Thanks.
Thanks, Christy. Next up is Andrea Chevalier. Chevalier. You can say Chevalier. It's okay. Thanks. That's how my husband's family says it. I'm Andrea Chevalier, and I'm with the Association of Texas Professional Educators. We are a member organization, and we serve about 100,000 Texas educators and administrators and everyone else who works under the school roof in Texas. So we are really excited to be a part of this group. And I am a former teacher who went through a Texas teacher prep program, so I have that perspective. And then we hear from our educators on preparation issues and issues within the classroom. So hopefully we can help share some of what's happening on the ground. And we're excited to be here. Thank you. Thank you. Ivory Bennett.
Good morning, everyone. I'm so sorry. My students are able to come into my classroom. So my name is Ivory Bennett. I'm an English 1 teacher at a collegiate academy in South Dallas. I was trained alternatively through Teach for America in Oklahoma City, which is where I started teaching English. And I bring to my unique perspective is that I'm non-traditionally certified. I'm certified from out of state, and I didn't go to undergrad for education. And so combine that with my life experiences, I feel like that kind of gives me a different take on education. And thank you for having me too.
Thank you, Ivory. Christina Correa.
Hi, good morning, everybody. My name is Christina Correa, and I'm a high school art and art history teacher at Idea College Preparatory San Juan in San Juan, Texas, which is in the Rio Grande Valley along the border. My unique perspective is, I just thought about what Ivory shared. I too did not study education as an undergrad. I went to Texas Women's University and studied mass communications. And I'm alternatively certified through I Teach Texas, which was a great experience, but also saw my sister get certified at Texas State. So a lot of the perspectives that I bring with me are working for a public charter school in Texas means that teachers are not required to be certified. And for the last 12 years, I've overseen the visual arts program at Idea Public Schools, where oftentimes teachers from non-arts backgrounds are thrown into the classroom without any training or certification. And I've seen the effects and know that it's so important for our teachers to be prepared for teaching, because it's not an easy task, and it's something that we need to take very seriously and put a lot of priority on. So thank you all. I'm so glad to join you.
Thank you. Dominique McCain.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Dominique McCain. I represent the Commit Partnership and Educate Texas. I actually am the managing director of the Best in Class Coalition, which is a joint venture between those two organizations. And I think the unique perspective I bring, other than having been a classroom teacher, alternatively certified, hired on an emergency permit a long time ago, and then leading the redesign of a prep program, and once upon a time in my work, I now actually do collective impact work, which specifically for the teacher pipeline looks like really bringing together all of the partners. We have over 200 partners in North Texas that we work with to just really figure out what are the barriers and challenges in the pipeline. And so we've done a lot of really strong work, and I'm excited to be here with this group because my whole life story and where I've landed in my career has been really matriculating through that teacher pipeline myself. So I'm grateful to be here, and I thank you all for the opportunity.
Thank you. Next up, Donna. No last name on the list.
Hi, Jessica. It's Donna Brusher. Sorry, I guess I was too lazy to type my whole name today.
I thought it was you, Donna. Hello, welcome.
Sorry about that. Hello, everyone. I'm Donna Brusher. I work at Texas Tech University. I am the certification officer and the director for student services. And that provides me a unique perspective. Like many of you, I have been a public school educator and an elementary school administrator. In this role with certification officer, I deal with the testing, the reporting, and all of the rules and regulations, as many of you do. But in addition to that, with my work with student services, I also work with all the degree plans and the preparation of the coursework that goes into the training. And so that really allows me a perspective in making sure that we're aligning the degree correctly with what our students need for training and preparation to be not only successful on exams, but successful in classrooms. And I'm very happy to be here on the committee. Thank you all so much.
Thank you. Heather Doyle.
Hi, my name is Heather Doyle, and I am the Director of Accreditation, Certification, and Assessment here at TCU, but I'm also part of no acronyms, Texas Coordinators for Teacher Certification and Testing, so another long title. Probably about the unique perspective I have is I did go through an educator preparation program here in Texas, as well as taught in Texas, as well as I also was a faculty member and also certified, worked with clinical teachers and taught coursework in early childhood, as well as now I am a Director of Accreditation, Certification, Assessment. So now I work on the other end in certifying students and working from that area. So I've kind of had a lot of different hats throughout my time. And I'm glad to be here.
Thanks. Elizabeth Ward.
Hi, I'm Liz Ward, and I am an Associate Professor of Education and Director of Field Experiences and currently serving as the Interim Certification Officer at Texas Wesleyan University. I am representing the Texas Association of Teacher Educators, TEX8, which is the state chapter of the Association of Teacher Educators. ATE was founded 100 years ago by directors of field experience for the explicit purpose of, how do we have effective field experiences? And so, their broad perspective is that anybody who works in the education and preparation of teachers is a teacher educator. So that includes our classroom teachers who serve as the mentors and the cooperating teachers and all of that. I think the unique perspective that I bring is that I'm simultaneously doing many of the things that are required. I'm the Director of Field Experiences, but also at times actually go out and supervise candidates. I'm now, working in the certification piece, but I also teach the Math Methods course, which has field experience hours connected to it. So we actually coordinate as faculty members our own field experience. So I actually go out with my candidates and am working in their classrooms with children in the elementary setting. And we are a Hispanic and a minority serving institution that a lot of our candidates want to work in the high need school. So I have that perspective.
Thank you. Holly Eaton.
Hello, everyone. I'm Holly Eaton with the Texas Classroom Teachers Association. Been doing this work for many, many years. In fact, as everyone was talking, I was reflecting on when and how I started in this line of work, which was in the 1995 legislative session when you may recall that the State Board of Educator Certification was actually formed. So was in on the discussions when the State Board for Educator Certification was formed, and participated in untold number of stakeholder meetings throughout the years on various aspects of basically all the components of what SBEC oversees, including continuing professional education. That's an area of particular interest. The certification itself, the certification standards, exams, the accountability system for ed prep programs has been a long-standing interest of ours, and we've been working on that. The code of ethics, disciplinary standards. So kind of spans the gamut. And I see SBEC as playing a very pivotal role in the profession governing itself and treating the profession as a profession. So excited to be part of this committee and work on all of these different issues. Also, I'm an attorney and a lobbyist. So in the middle of the legislative session right now, and one of the things that we work that we do involve ourselves on to a great extent are legislation having to do with routes into teaching, because in Texas we have a great number of routes into teaching. And we've been concerned that over the years there have been more and more routes that kind of subvert the preparation and certification process that we think are so instrumental to ensure that we have teachers who are prepared, who are able to be successful in the classroom, and therefore our students are successful. So huge advocate for high quality educator preparation and high certification standards, and again, very excited to be part of this group going forward.
Thanks. Christina Sterling.
Hi, I'm Christina Sterling, and I work with Johns Hopkins University in partnership with Urban Teachers, which is a relatively new teacher preparation organization here in Dallas. I am the lead for their special education curriculum, because with our program, they are also getting a master's degree where they take a whole line of special education curriculum. So I support that as well as our coaches. And we partner with urban districts. So two of our partners right now are DISD as well as Uplift Charter. So we really focus on putting teachers in those high need areas. And I would say that the unique perspective I have, outside of I was also alternatively certified in Texas. I have worked in public schools in both Fort Worth as well as Dallas, and I have 5 children in the public school system. It is also the fact that my specialty is special education. And although good teaching is good teaching, I don't necessarily always see that our educator preparation programs are providing the skills and knowledge that teachers need to have students that have different needs on different levels in their classroom. And so I'm definitely looking forward to being able to bring that perspective to the conversation and looking at what that means for educator preparation programs in Texas.
Thank you. Leslie Cesares.
Hi, it's Caceres. Nobody ever gets it right.
Apologies, y'all. Apologies if I'm mispronouncing anyone's name. It's
I get all kinds of things. It's no problem. I am representing the Texas School Counselor Association, and I am also the program coordinator for the school counseling program at Angelo State University, and I've been here for 10 years. Had a lot of different roles while I've been at the university. I've overseen the student teachers, almost all of the graduate programs. So I think that the perspective that I'm probably bringing to this role is the advanced certification, which I don't think very many people have mentioned, and that's kind of a different role. I think the initial certification is one thing, but that advanced certification has a little bit different aspect to it. And also the mental health role. And I know that with COVID and some different things, that has been a little bit of a more importance has been placed on that here lately. So those two things I think would be the perspective that I'm bringing.
Thank you. Mark Terry.
Thank you. And thanks for allowing me to be on this committee. My name is Mark Terry. I am, which nobody ever messes up, I am the Deputy Executive Director of the Texas Elementary Principals and Supervisors Association. I think my perspective, or my unique perspective, is not really that unique. I was principal for 25 years in elementary schools in a rural, urban, and suburban settings. Hiring teachers. I've hired, I don't know how many teachers in my career, and I've seen the gamut on how prepared they were, how unprepared they were. And then I have worked and still work in mentoring young principals and young assistant principals about working with teachers, about growing teachers, it's just from that particular aspect. Thank you.
Thank you. Jamil Martinez Vasquez.
Thank you. My name is Jamil Martinez Vasquez. I am from I'm from Fort Worth, but originally from Puerto Rico, as you can see. I am a 4th and 5th grade teacher at Crowley ISD. I teach in the bilingual department. And I'm also the husband of an elementary pre-K bilingual teacher. And the unique thing I bring, I'm part of Teach Plus, which is a network of teachers all over the state. And I am a Ready to Lead fellow, besides being a policy fellow with them. So I bring the diversity position. I am a bilingual teacher after all, so I bring my kids, my students who are actually in the classroom taking a test right now, as they hear me explain who I am to you guys. So I bring them their unique perspective to this position. I'm also work with TA on the standards for bilingual education and also for the ESL. So for the last 2, I work with them also. So it's awesome to be here.
Thank you so much, and hello to your students. Meredith Lee Pleasance.
Meredith, you're on mute, sorry.
Thank you. You'd think after a year of this, I would. Hi, everyone. I'm Meredith Lee. I'm so excited to be a part of this committee. I am the manager of talent and school support at Good Reason Houston. In my capacity, I work as both a funder and strategic advisor to both educator prep programs and Houston districts to strengthen teacher pathways. And my unique perspective comes from both my current work, which is collaborating with multiple EPPs across the region and districts to solve problems related to both teacher preparation and teacher recruitment. And my background is actually I'm an early childhood teacher and also a Texas transplant. I came from New Orleans a little over a year ago, where I worked as a early childhood teacher, curriculum director, and oversaw early childhood programs for a network of Title I schools. And I've also served educator prep programs in Louisiana for around 6 years as both an instructor and a coach for the early childhood certification. So that gives me a very special lens for the preparation that I know that future teachers need to support our youngest kiddos. So I feel very passionately about phonics and phonological awareness and the importance of preparing those teachers to ensure that our youngest students are set up for success in the later years. It's nice to meet you all.
Thank you. From one early childhood educator to another, welcome. And next up is Patti Quincy.
Hi, everybody. Nice to see everyone and nice to see so many practicing educators. And thank you to Ms. Pogue for helping us get on this committee. I've been in and around this building and working with a lot of folks for the past 20 years. It just occurred to me this morning. It's my 20th year. I used to be a legislative budget board policy and budget analyst for TEA, so I've been around the building for a long time. I now work for the American Federation of Teachers as their legislative counsel, and we represent 65,000 teachers in public schools and charter schools. And throughout the years that I've worked at AFT, the past 16 years now, I've learned a lot from teachers of what does work and what doesn't work in both classically trained people and folks in the alternative pathway. So just listening to teachers and trying to learn from teachers is the expertise I bring. Thank you.
Thank you. Ray Queen.
Good morning. I'm actually just an observer, so I'm not an official member of the board. So I'll be in here listening. I take notes and share them back with our professional organizations. So I don't think you want me as an introduction since I'm not an official member of the board.
Well, thank you, Dr. Queen. We appreciate having you here. Rebecca Burton.
Good morning. So I want to apologize first. I'm very under the weather. We had water damage at my home, and so all the construction and everything has just created havoc for me. So I apologize for my voice. So I am Dr. Rebecca Burton. I've been in education for over 20 years. I've done everything from middle school teaching to high school teaching, administrator. I was a dean at a university where we ran alternative certification programs. Currently, I'm a faculty member at Collin College in the education department. And let's see, what else? I came from Ohio. So I was certified in Ohio first and then moved here after I married my husband and got certified here in Texas. I guess the unique perspective that I bring is just having a variety of experiences from administration to teacher to, I was also a gifted specialist. I represent TACTAP, which is Texas Association of Community College Teacher Preparation Programs, but I'm also a member of the KDP Public Policy Committee. I have a very big passion with advocacy, diverse student populations, and I'm just very excited to be here. And again, I'm sorry for all this. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, and hope you feel better. Next up is Cynthia Savage.
Hi, I'm Cindy Savage, and I am the Associate Dean of Undergraduate Studies at TCU. So I've been at TCU for 15 years. And prior to that, I was at McMurray University and also at UTA. But so I am the Vice President of EdICAT, which is the Education Dean of Independent Colleges and Universities of Texas. So I think I'm always going to bring, the best interests of private schools to our conversations, because that's what I'm thinking about in the back of my mind. But some other, I think, unique perspectives that I bring to the table is I've also taught in public schools and private schools in both Little Rock and Los Angeles. So I actually haven't taught in Texas before, but I think it's neat to have perspectives of teaching in other states as well. So thanks for having me.
Thank you. Calvin Stocker.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Calvin Stocker with the Texas Alternative Certification Association, and I also work with the U.S. Prep National Center, which is a technical assistance center that has a coalition of 22 universities who have a diverse set of pathways, including both ACP and traditional teacher prep programs. I think the unique perspective that I bring to this work is U.S. Prep works across 7 different states, and so I have a chance to work with policy leaders all across the nation on how do we, adhere and cohere to a rigorous model of preparation. I also managed and supported a teacher prep program, an alternative certification program in Houston. I was formerly an educator in the Houston Independent School District. I taught 6th, 7th, and 8th grade social studies. So I have an affinity for Texas history. I'm just really excited to be here and to work alongside all the brilliant minds.
Thanks. Veronica Gavan. Oh, Dr. Gavan, I think you're muted.
Forgive me. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to meet everyone. My name is Veronica Galvan. I am Director for Curriculum and Instruction for Excellence in Teaching. EIT is a face-to-face alternative program in Weslaco, Texas. So we're close to Dr. Cavazos and close to you, Christina, at IDEA. It's a very unique area because of the amount of bilingual teachers and ESL teachers that we need to prepare. I have taught as a bilingual and ESL teacher for many years at the university level. So I have a very different perspective and having come from a very traditional background for my own certification to working with alternative. Alternative in Texas is unique because of the number of alternative programs, as well as the number of teachers that we also prepare every year. I think what's unique is whatever the decisions are made have a very direct impact in how we're going to prepare our curriculum, our requirements, and the actual execution. And that execution and that delivery does not mean that it's not going to be quality or rigorous. And so I'm very thankful because both all our faculty, our staff, and our students who are seeking bilingual and ESL certificates, and maybe English is not their first language, work so diligently enough to help us get commendations from TEA. I'm very honored to be part of the committee, to be a voice for alternative certification. And it's a joy and pleasure to meet everybody. And thank you to TEA for all your hard work.
Thank you. And Zach Roselle.
Thank you, Jessica. My name is Zach Roselle. I'm the director of I Teach Texas, an alternative certification program. And I think the unique perspective is given that we serve both initial teacher and principal preparation, that I can help speak into both of those classes of certification. But privileged and excited to continue to work as a Epac member.
Thank you all. What an exciting group of experts to gather here together. I think, Christy, that was all of our members of the Epac had a chance to introduce themselves.
Thanks so much for doing that, Jessica. And you got a much better voice than me anyway. So yeah, job's yours. So, you know, as I'm listening to you all introduce yourselves, and I'm seeing it and I'm hearing it, it's one thing to realize, which I've got to give kudos to Dr. Olafson, started this work a long time ago, to wanting to expand not only the voice at the table, the voices at the table, but also the experience and what the nomination process would look like. You know, he had a vision of what this committee could do as it connects with the Epacs work. And so seeing it come to fruition, you know, thank you so much, Mark. You saw something that definitely is going to, you know, breed a lot of positive input to the Epac. But also, again, you know, whenever we saw your names and your short bios on paper was one thing, being able to hear it and see it, my mind is already spinning, because I'm also a policy nerd, where I can see where we are going to benefit even much more and deeper and broader than we even realized at the beginning. So to keep this going, because I know I don't want to be in the way of y'all's lunch or weekend. So now here's where the fun begins. Now it's like, well, you know who we are. What do you want us to do during this thing, right? So now we're going to dig into how we expect this process, this new family to work. Now remember, this is going to be our first time at this, so we are always going to be open to recommendations, changes, continuous improvement. But this is how staff has envisioned this to work, is that prior to an Epac meeting, we will send out the digital board book. Now, and that would be before the Epac meeting. We are planning on the Epac meeting would actually follow Epac meetings to actually get updates and respond to any questions or charges from the board. Things that we know ahead of time when we send you the board book, we'll let you know, hey, you know, there's going to be some changes that the board's going to be looking at 229, which is the accountability. Please, you know, spend some extra time and looking at what those changes are. And then if there's any pre-work, you know, especially for the organizations that we want, you know, to make sure that you're soliciting feedback, and we'll get into that, you know, in a few minutes. But we'll try to provide you everything that we can prior to Epac meetings. and then following the SBEC meeting into the Epact meeting. So our time together is very focused. And then, Epac will then report back to TEA to inform policy development, refinement, and implementation. So during the Epac meetings, this is where we will, gather that feedback, those suggestions, further questions. We will report that back, to SBEC as well. Before each Epac meeting, one thing that we've learned with the former composition is that it's really important for us to solicit questions, concerns, issues, topics from you as Epac members. So prior to an Epac meeting, we're going to be asking if you have any issues, questions, concerns that you would like to bring to the Epac. We're imagining 5 regular meetings a year, and with additional specialized subcommittees that we'll get into in just a few minutes. So here are where the roles are going to be outlined. So those members of organizations that actually were nominated by their organizations to serve on this committee, how we're envisioning this to look, and it goes back to what Dr. Vaso said, is this is going to be a working committee, right? So what we're wanting to do is that members would actually solicit feedback and input from those that they represent to ensure that the collective voices are heard at these committee meetings. And then as well, that the members share out from the committee meetings to ensure that those that they represent are aware of discussions and recommendations to the SBEC. So as you can see this, and again, this is for our 31 organizations that, 21 organizations, I'm sorry, that have got a seat at the table, is, this visual will show you that by the time it gets to SBEC, Epac has had those conversations. But the Epac members have got a two-way communication between the educational community they represent and the Epac. So for those at-large members, even though there may not be a direct two-way communication, we really encourage members to reach out to their respective colleagues, because what we've already seen today is that there is so much benefit and value in ensuring that those educational community members that are most impacted by the SBEC know exactly what is happening and has got a conduit for input. Now, at this point, I'm going to go ahead and hand it off to Dr. Olafson, that I probably embarrassed by giving him the kudos for all this great Epac work. But I'm going to let him dig a little bit deeper in what the subcommittee work is going to look like.
Thanks so much for that, Christy. As Christy noted, we're really excited to have an updated structure, and it's going to give us the opportunity to experiment and try some things out. And one of the things that, as we were thinking this through, that we would really like to potentially try out with this group is the use of some like affinity group subcommittee type of structures for what might be specialized topics or deeper dives, or folks who may want to take concentrate a little bit more within specific areas. So we've got luckily we have an embarrassment of riches here. We have a lot of highly skilled and qualified and well-connected people on the call, and so as we are thinking about how might we best leverage that, we were thinking about the opportunity for Epac to function as a multi-layered committee, where members who have specific expertise may be able to lean in and take a little bit of the lead on some technical conversations or some specific affinity areas, and then be able to make smaller convenings around that, and then be able to bring recommendations or thoughts back here to the larger committee. So thinking about, if the SBEC presents the Epac with a specific charge, we want to hear from the Epac about this specific decision that we're trying to make. It may be an opportunity for a smaller group of folks to break out and really kind of tackle and go into the weeds on that question, and then be able to bring that back to this larger group. So just a little bit of our thinking around there. Again, we are in the process. We'll likely have some learning as we go along on how this will best work. So we are looking forward to trying it out.
Thanks, Dr. Olafson. So now what we're going to look at, as we talked about how the cadence of our work is going to look, the next slide will show us what the Epac meeting schedules will look like, and we're going to also send this out to you as well, along with that glossary of alphabet soup. So as a reminder, as really, we're embarking on the April 30th meeting, we will send you that agenda book prior to the April 30th meeting, and any indication, any focus of any topics that will probably be of interest to this committee to meet on the May 14th. Following the April 30th meeting, we will send you, here are some topics, here are some things that the board may have asked for a deeper dive on. Again, having Dr. Cavazos here, I hope gives you confidence that this board is going to be relying on this committee to provide that rich feedback. And then any other pre-work, if we are going to request on certain topics, right? And again, we're still trying to figure this out, but in the prior composition, it was more meeting just before the SBEC meeting to say, hey, this is what's on the agenda. But in order for this committee to really be able to dive into earlier discussions that will inform the board's decisions, what we're starting with is 2 weeks after a board meeting, allowing us to kind of, pull together, decide what all this committee will, what's that best pathway to provide, that input back to the board, prior to their July meeting. And so it's kind of a continuous loop that we're looking for. And so, okay, I see Zach has got a burning question. Go ahead, Zach.
So I appreciate, and I see the wisdom in having the meetings following the SBEC meeting. One thing that was nice at Epac to have them before is we could help voice and provide some thoughts when it was still a discussion item. Will our rhythm be that we will know what is being discussed prior to the board meetings? Perfect. Okay, that works. I just didn't want to get it on the back.
No, that is a great question, because there are things that we're already anticipating at the July meeting and October meeting is, what are those topics and those issues that we're looking at getting our arms wrapped around this next year. So you're exactly right. We would definitely be tapping this committee prior to that discussion item. That way, by the time we bring a discussion item to the SBEC, we've already shown where this committee has provided input.
That's great. And I'm specifically thinking of 228 as we look to rewrite that. So perfect. Love that. Love the idea.
Good, good. So to move on, y'all are almost done. Hang in with me. So other than Zach's question, are there any other questions that you all have right now that we can try to answer?
Christy, there were a few notes in the chat around the week of May 14th and exams, so STAR testing and AP exams. So I wondered, are we open to feedback around some of those dates for those meetings, depending upon folks' availability?
Absolutely, and you go ahead and go back to that slide. That's why we did this. We wanted to, put that out there. So what we'll do is we can send an email to everyone and then ask for some feedback and see. Like I said, we just went ahead and started with the 2-week cadence to think that way. we have an idea of what's going to happen at the next board meeting. We still have very fresh what just happened after the last board meeting. So absolutely, I will follow up today with an email with any suggestions. And I know that we can't always hit it all, but I'd rather go ahead and identify now, early on, what is going to be where we can get the most bang for our buck. So great point, and absolutely. And just like on the January 15th, I put ish because number one, no one's gonna show up 2 weeks after December 10th, so we'll be here by ourselves. And then knowing that a lot of the ed prep programs, universities are closed during the holidays, so we're going to kind of keep our eye on that, and that'll be another one that will garner input from the committee members to see when is going to be our best trigger for that 2022 first meeting. Great point.
And Christy, it's Holly. I have a question. I'm assuming that, the goal is to have as many members in attendance as possible.
Yes, ma'am.
And if for some reason one of us has to miss the meeting, I know you're recording it. Is there availability for a member who missed the meeting to be able to access the recording to kind of catch back up on what the discussion was? Or I just don't know how you handle that.
That's great question, great point, Holly. So what we'll do is after an Epact meeting, just like what we will do today, is that we will go ahead and send this the recording link as soon as we have access to it, as well as the materials with the deck. So we will send that out to all of the Epact members, as well as get it posted up on the website. Good.
I have a question.
Okay.
Hi, Liz Ward. I'm curious, once we get beyond, the requirements of needing to meet virtually because of COVID, do we ever envision having these face-to-face or hybrid? We've discovered that a lot of times things that we have to now schedule an official meeting in Teams could have been solved by walking down the hall and talking to someone. And I know that sometimes collectively problem solving works better in a group than everybody in their own individual places. So I just want your thoughts on that.
So that's one of the things that we will definitely have a conversation on at the next meeting in May, or whenever we all decide to come back together, is that there's a lot of currency in being able to meet virtually, because what we've seen is that it does allow more access for people to be there. It's just a lot easier to jump on a Teams or a Zoom call rather than having to come to the horrific building in Austin, only because we've got 12 other building constructions going on at the same time as well. And as much as we love the face-to-face and we love being able to see you all in 3D, our goal is, the more the better. Because and so we're gonna have those discussions, and with the hybrid, I know it gets a little wompy going back and forth. So we'll continue to have that conversation. Liz, it's a great question. It's something that we had talked about, that the value of it being on Zoom or Teams is that we can have more people. Like today we saw people in their classrooms, we saw people at work, and we don't want to lose those voices, so we will definitely talk about what that's going to look like, if that's all right with you.
Sure, I think there's valid pros and cons both ways, so I just wanted to bring it up.
Good point. Great point. Anybody else? Okay, so if you can go 2 more slides, Jess. So what I would really like to do, because we really want to meet expectations, if you could just name in the chat one thing that you're most excited about as an Epact member, one thing that you want to achieve as an Epact member. If you can share that with us, I promise you it's not in vain. We really do want to meet your expectations. This will be the only paycheck that you get from all of your hard work, is being able to say they came, they saw, they heard, and they informed the SBEC board. And so us being able to show you that we really do want to make this as beneficial to you in your role as well. So I'm gonna shut up, go on mute, and then go ahead and let you all put in all of your golden nuggets of what you want us to do. Well, it seems like we have our work cut out for us. Be careful what you ask for, because you all have given us quite a great list that we are going to be focused on, and ensuring that as we work through this first few meetings with you, to make sure that we're actually meeting your expectations. So with that, I think I've given you back 4 minutes of your day. And we cannot express enough how much we appreciate not only you being here on a Friday, right before lunch, before a weekend. So thank you all. I look forward to hearing from you all. I look forward to working with you all. You will receive an email from me today with this recording, with this slide deck, and then we'll be following up with that those glossaries, so you can actually get to know your new family members. And we'll go ahead and hang on if anyone has anything that they would like to ask as we close out this first meeting.